an experience like no other in the world. The sound of the drums pulling at your soul to listen and remember the ancestors.
Well, Emancipation in Trinidad in the last few years has become a really magnificent celebration. You know, I was in the grandstand of the Savannah and just looking across the sea of faces, the thousands of people there, you know, and most of them in African dress and so on. The fact that they were there for an entire day, you know, paying rapt attention to what was happening, the great variety of cultural events that were taking place. It was an absolutely amazing spectacle. I don't think there's anything like it anywhere, celebrating African consciousness. So I think the organizers in Trinidad, must be complimented on doing something absolutely unique and outstanding. I might mention in passing that Trinidad for a very long time has been in the vanguard of Pan-African struggle period. So in a way, what is happening now in terms of emancipation in many ways fits into a broader picture of Trinidad for a very long time, maybe a couple of 100 years, being in the vanguard of Pan-African activity.
When I came here yesterday, I wanted to act like some African Caribbean or African American brothers and sisters. When they come for the first time in Africa, they feel like they need to kiss the land, the soil. Yesterday, I wanted to do the same thing, precisely because I knew that Trinidad was the land of Henry Sylvester Williams, a great Pan-Africanist, a founding father of Pan-Africanism, whom I have always adored and respected.
I think this region must also continue to produce great diasporic leaders like Marcus Garvey and Henry Sylvester Williams and George Padmore and C.L.R. James and Stokely Carmichael and Kafra Kambone. You know, this region is rich in terms of intellectual gifts, you know. And I personally think when we talk about the leadership of the diaspora, it's going to come out of here, you know. It always has come out of here for some reason. I don't know why. It must be the sun. We talk about, how African society are male-oriented. Here you got this woman who's running the parliament. And over half the members, Jimmy was telling me that over half the members are women, and is it not a new day in Africa?
I would like to say that such ceremonies like this ones, they give us an opportunity to influence and socialize the young ones particularly. Because for the group which is sitting on the high table, some of them had a taste of the liberation processes of one kind or another. But the people we must really take care of are the young ones who might not even know their roots. So I really appreciate this type of celebrations because they bring, for the adults, we come back to our senses to look for a space in the planet and to connect to our own cultures. How long should we continue being ashamed of being Africans? And this is not a problem of the so-called diasporas. It's also a problem of us who are in Africa.
You have had African leaders, many of them under the influence of whether it is your Padmores, your Du Bois, your W.B. Du Bois, or whatnot, your C.L.R. James, people with whom they mingled when they studied in the West, who tried to move towards Pan-Africanism on the continent, mainly at a continental level at first, but with a very strong recognition as individual leaders of people of the diaspora and inviting people of the diaspora. But what you have now is a quantum leap beyond that. And this quantum leap is where with the formation of the African Union, the desire for the continent as a whole to officially embrace the African diaspora. It's a whole recognition of the need to function as a global collective to be organized in the world today. And the emancipation activity in Trinidad and Tobago embraces that, and it is also what propelled us into the forefront of such activity.
If Sylvester Williams, Marcus Garvey were the first people who talk about African unity, if we build the African Union, we have to realize that historically we owe that to the Africans from the diaspora.
I want to thank the Emancipation Committee for this opportunity, and not just the Emancipation Committee, the government and people of Trinidad and Tobago for providing this unique opportunity for us to interact and develop possibilities. The challenge of transformation of African Union is how to make the African an essential actor in economic development. And we define the African not just as those in the continent, but Africans all over the world. And this is the base of the Diaspora Initiative.
I think this is very, very, very important. Just as, say, George Padmore was the advisor on African affairs to Kwame Nkrumah, now you have the same thing at a higher level, with the Emancipation Support Committee becoming a catalyst for concretizing the desire on the part of the African Union to make the diaspora a permanent, integral, day-to-day part of African affairs. So the African Union is the highest political body on the African continent. And now you have them talking about making the African diaspora a sixth region, equal to regions on the African continent itself. And now you have the Emancipation Support Committee from Trinidad being in the forefront, being part of negotiations taking place in Addis Ababa, the headquarters, being very much involved in the major conference of African and diaspora intellectuals that took place in Senegal recently, being part of the ongoing group that is liaising in an ongoing way with the African Union, kind of a Caribbean group. So, and all of this coming out of the Emancipation celebration in Trinidad. Well, first of all, I think that the people who are leading it, people like Afro Cambon, who had come out of by this time, a very long tradition of struggle, involvement, in the movement. People had gone all the way back to NJAC in the early years, people who were involved on campus in 1968, when the Canadian High Commissioner had come through. People who had been liaising, for want of a better word, with other Pan-Africanist groups in other countries for a long time. People who were very well-read, very knowledgeable about the whole history of African consciousness. And I think the fact that Trinidad had such a deep history of African consciousness, no matter how dormant African consciousness may appear at any point in Trinidad's history, it's always there. And it's just waiting for somebody to come and mobilize it again. And I think that the genius of the people who led the movement this time around was that they were able to tap into that reality.
Everything that said Africa, when you look, you will find the Band of Faithful. This committed army of cultural revolutionaries from 69 through the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. And some of us here still. Unbroken and unbowed.
For us, in the Emancipation Support Committee at this point in time, what we are about is the building of the consciousness of our people so that they can participate much more fully in the building of this nation, and then secondly, the building of the nation.
The ancestors have brought us to a particular point where, from the few struggling, laughed at, we have become, at emancipation, thousands and thousands who come and come.
Look at what's happening to emancipation now. An Emancipation Support Committee, okay, we are in the forefront of it. But we are also a catalyst to something that is much larger, right through the society. And you find government offices, private offices, organizing every year emancipation commemoration, and they are all growing more elaborate.
Dearly beloved brothers and sisters, it has become necessary for us to gird ourselves mentally, physically, financially, spiritually, to be able to stand against the injustice and imbalance that exists in our midst. We must reinstall justice, equality, balance, harmony, and the highest principle ever known unto man. we're talking revolution. This time, this time, this time, revolution. This time we're talking revolution. This time, this time, yeah, this time we're talking revolution. This time, this time, this time, revolution. This time we're talking revolution. This time, this time, revolution.
No, I will not still my voice. I have too much to claim. If you see me walking in the sun, marching in your ranks, know that I look for fire. I have learned from books, dear friend, of men and women dreaming and hungering in a room without light, who could not die since death was far too poor, who did not sleep to dream, but dreamed to change the world.
Hey. I had enough. Hey, it's time to stop. Oh, I had enough.
People will have the last word. Power to the people.
Just have to stop.
Power to the people.
This story has given us a glimpse into the strength of our legacy.
We know now that working together and taking lessons from our past, we can build a brighter future.
Thank you for staying with us and viewing this program. In the language of our ancestors, we say,
Ashe, Ashe, Ashe.
Tall atop the city, they danced in innocent guardianship. And those with spirit eyes saw the ghostly gleam of pure delight shining in Lijiasu's eyes. And still they came running, dancing, chipping towards the village named in recognition of unstinting commitment. Village watched over by her marches and the stately Obelix. Drums of praise, drums of pleasure, celebration drums, invocation drums, Ogun and Yemunja, Oshon and Oya, today serenaded in song, in libation, in proud and open recognition. Warriors and leaders, they flecked grace, time's testimonials to tireless struggle. Kambans and Moyo, Mutope, Kamuse, Kwesi, Soyinka, and me too, looking upwards to let the tears drop, fuse with raindrops, watching, feeling dream becoming reality, dreaming still to change the world, dreaming still dreams of hope, watching them come and come in seeming unending thousands and thousands and thousands.
I wish to say thanks to the national community that has responded so positively to the commemoration of Emancipation. Thanks to the volunteers and the many organizers. I say thanks on behalf of the executive of the Emancipation Support Committee, Ifoma, Hazel, Ikino, Tracy, Chi, Zakia, Entu, and Abidemi.